When you think of Toyota, you picture bulletproof reliability, hybrid tech, and maybe a Camry that just won't die. But what if I told you Toyota once built a machine so powerful, so advanced, it dominated one of the world's toughest races, and then got banned? This wasn't some V8 muscle car or million-dollar hype car. It was a hybrid, a nearly 1,000 horsepower fire-breathing freak of engineering called the TSO40. It didn't just win, it changed the game so hard that regulators had no choice but to shut it down. This is the insane story of how Toyota accidentally built a legend too good to survive. To understand why the TSO40 even existed, you have to rewind a bit. Toyota's early attempts at conquering Le Mans were passionate but powerful. The TSO10 in the early 90s, followed by the stunning but snake-bitten GT1 in 1999, showed promise, but never brought home a win. After 1999, Toyota stepped back from the world of endurance racing. They focused on road cars, hybrids, and Formula One ventures that never quite delivered. But the hunger never went away. The white whale was still at the 24 hours of Le Mans. When the FIA introduced a new rule book in the early 2010s, one that emphasized fuel efficiency and hybrid technology, Toyota saw its moment. This was no longer just about speed, it was about innovation. The new WEC, World Endurance Championship era, favored brains as much as brawn, and that was Toyota's sweet spot. Enter the TS040 hybrid. It was Toyota's way back into the fight. While it didn't dominate, it planted the seeds. It showed Toyota had the tech, the talent, and the tenacity to go head-to-head with the best. But it was just the warm-up. The TSO40 would be the real answer, not a reaction to the competition, but a full-blown declaration of intent. No more catching up. This time, Toyota was coming to lead. No compromises, no excuses, just raw ambition wrapped in cutting-edge tech. Here's where it gets spicy. The FIA World Endurance Championship, WEC, established a set of regulations that were unprecedented in the history of motorsport. Instead of placing hard caps on performance or tech, the new system incentivized innovation by offering performance rewards for hybrid use. Teams could choose to run their car in a 2, 4, 6, or 8 megajoule (MJ) hybrid recovery category. The more energy you recovered and deployed, the less fuel you were allowed to use, but also the more potential performance you could unlock. It was a bold move that aimed to blend efficiency with raw racing capability. Most teams hesitated to go high. Developing a system that could reliably deploy 6 or 8 MJ per lap was a technical minefield. But Toyota? They went all in on the 6 MJ category, and they nailed it. Their V8 hybrid setup not only hit the numbers, it redefined what was possible. They weren't just following the rules, they were outsmarting them. At the heart of the TSO40 was a 3.7-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. Sounds tame until you realized it was producing 513 horsepower. And that was just the engine. When paired with Toyota's cutting-edge hybrid system, featuring electric motor generators on both the front and rear axles, the total output soared to nearly 1,000 horsepower. This wasn't just a powertrain, it was a declaration of war against inefficiency. All-wheel drive traction, paired with instant electric torque, gave the TSO40 an almost alien ability to rocket out of corners. The hybrid system didn't rely on heavy batteries, but instead used a supercapacitor that could store and discharge energy in quick bursts. Perfect for the start-stop punishment of endurance racing. The front and rear motors weren't just for show. They offered true torque vectoring and regenerative braking that made every lap more efficient. This car didn't just go fast, it did it intelligently. The TSO40 was raw, refined, and ruthless. A V8 howitzer bolted onto a hybrid brain. Toyota's TSO40 wasn't just fast, it was disruptive. With surgical accuracy, it dominated the 2014 season, winning 5 of 8 races and securing the WEC manufacturer's title. It wasn't just beating the competition, it was redefining what dominance looked like. Audi's diesel juggernauts and Porsche's fledgling entries suddenly looked behind the curve. Toyota didn't just show up, they reshaped the conversation. And they did this all while using less fuel than their rivals, thanks to their meticulously optimized hybrid system. It was performance and efficiency, coexisting at a level that made everyone uncomfortable. That's the problem. Motorsport is a spectacle built on unpredictability. If one team starts walking away with every race, the thrill dies. The FIA and ACO knew this. Under the guise of performance balancing, the governing bodies started to squeeze. Regulation changes, fuel flow limits, and aero tweaks began to chip away at the TSO40's advantage. In the end, the system couldn't handle a car that broke it so completely. The squeeze on Toyota started in 2015 and 2016. Under pressure to level the playing field, the authorities made significant revisions that specifically targeted the TSO40's advantages. Reduced energy allowances per lap diminished the benefit of the hybrid system. The V8's permissible power output was further constrained by tighter fuel flow regulations. When minimum weight restrictions were raised, some of the car's aerodynamic and efficiency advantages were lost. The competitor changed its strategy right away. Audi and Porsche pivoted to smaller, turbocharged engines that were more compatible with the evolving rulebook. These downsized powertrains, combined with lighter hybrid systems and new aero interpretations, allowed rivals to stay competitive under the new constraints. Toyota, however, found its innovation boxed in. Their naturally aspirated V8, once the crown jewel, began to feel like a relic of a bygone rule set. The TSO40 wasn't obsolete by design, it was smothered by red tape. What had once been a showcase of future-forward tech was now being choked out by politics and balance. Let's zoom in on the engineering one more time, because honestly, it deserves a standing ovation. The TSO40 wasn't just fast, it was smart. Modern combustion pressure sensors installed in the 3.7-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine enabled real-time ignition timing changes. That meant better combustion efficiency, improved power delivery, and rock-solid reliability over the grueling 24-hour race format. The hybrid system was equally revolutionary. Toyota didn't go to the conventional battery route. Instead, they used a supercapacitor, lightweight, fast charging, and incredibly responsive. When acceleration was required, it released the energy it had accumulated during braking in powerful bursts. The system powered electric motors on both the front and rear axles, enabling all-wheel drive torque delivery and regenerative braking at all four wheels. The chassis was a carbon fiber monocoque designed for max rigidity and minimal weight. The suspension setup, pushrod accoutred with torsion bars, was built to handle the unique stress of high downforce endurance racing. Every component of the TSO40 was engineered not just to perform, but to outlast and outthink everything else on track. It was an innovation without hesitation. After 2016, the TSO40 was replaced by the TSO50 hybrid, a 2.4-liter twin-turbo V6 hybrid that played nicer with the updated rulebook. But make no mistake, the TSO40 walked so the TSO50 could fly. The TSO40 wasn't just a stepping stone, it was a blueprint. It proved that endurance racing could be a proving ground for sustainability without sacrificing excitement. The TSO40 is renowned for many reasons, other than just its performance. That's what it represented. It completely destroyed the notion that hybrid technology was sluggish and uninteresting. It redefined public perception and forced other manufacturers to rethink their approach to hybrid performance. Even years after its last competitive lap, the TSO40 continues to be studied by engineers, admired by fans, and respected by rivals. It didn't just win races, it shifted the narrative. Toyota proved that doing the right thing for the planet could still mean crossing the finish line first. In every way that mattered, the TSO40 made history, and then was quietly pushed aside for daring to be that good. Technically? No. Functionally? Absolutely. There was no rule that flat-out banned the TSO40. No dramatic disqualification, no headlines screaming scandal. But behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. Regulatory shifts were crafted with a surgical focus, gradually targeting the things that made the TSO40 special. Its high-output hybrid system, naturally aspirated V8, and lightweight philosophy. The rulebook never called it illegal, but the message was clear. Adapt or disappear. Toyota chose to pivot with the TSO50, but the TSO40's fate had already been sealed by the tide of politics, optics, and balance of power concerns. It was the car that followed every rule and was punished for being too good at it. That's the shocking truth. The TSO40 wasn't banned because it broke the game. It was banned because it won the game, so decisively, so cleanly, that the only option left was to change the rules entirely. The TSO40 was more than a championship contender. It was a technological revolution. It showed the world that hybrid power could be fierce, fast, and entirely race-ready. While it wasn't banned outright, it was regulated out of competition. Is it a crime? Being too good at a game everyone else was still trying to figure out. The TSO40 played by the book and still ended up disqualified by implication. That's what makes it legendary. It didn't just compete, it forced the sport to evolve. Even after its retirement, the TSO40 casts a long shadow. Engineers still reference it. Fans still admire it. Competitors still remember how much it forced them to rethink their approach. In the end, the TSO40 didn't just race, it changed the race. And while it couldn't stay, it provided what was possible. That's not just punk, it's legacy. If this kind of tech punk motorsport history gets your engine running, stay tuned. There's plenty more where that came from.